Hello, my name is Keith Jones. I'm an African-American male from St. Louis, Missouri. Born there. The majority of my life I moved to Boston in the 80s, and that was where I started essentially my career, quote unquote. My career has been more around public policy, public advocacy, community organizing, and the arts. So currently my career is a hodgepodge of all my interests. I'm a consultant, as well as an artist, as well as the president of the company and a co-founder, along with Rob the Noise Temple, may rest in peace, and Leroy Moore Jr. And we co-founded what is now known as the Crip Hop Nation, which is a collective of artists with disabilities that we currently have 14 chapters in 14 countries on 5 continents. So we're representing loosely about a collective of 600 artists. And so my career, from depending on what time it is during the day, I can be talking about technology and accessibility, public policy ranging from healthcare to voters' rights, criminal justice reform, addressing sexual assault and sexual violence within the disability community, or immigration rights, to, planning a hip hop concert, to teaching kids about disability and health. What made me choose my career path is I'm Black in America. I'm Black in America with a disability. I'm Black in America with a disability, and I'm not rich. And so the things that the American dream are sold to its people is not necessarily what the reality is. So what made me choose my path was constantly running up against the notion of what America says it is and what you need to do to get to the land of milk and honey promised, and dealing with the reality of racism, ableism, sexism, classism, xenophobia, and all of those societal issues that face the country. I am a child that came out of the end of the civil rights movement and the beginning of the Black Power movement, only to be thrust into the culture wars of the 80s with the rise of the moral majority and all of the ripple effects that have come from that. So that really is, as much as I would love to just sit around and, play checkers and just drink beer, it's the reality of what the American society has left us. Not only as a father of four children, the oldest being the only boy and the youngest being the 3 girls, what made me choose this career path. Ideally, going to college, my goal was to be an aeronautical engineer and design a hydrogen-based, a fusion-based rocket in order to live out the dreams of advancing the space race and America's technology, going to the moon. Grew up with the Jetsons and Star Trek and Space 1999 and all of these things. So the goal was to be that kind of engineer that could design, rocket ships to take you to Alpha Centauri, and, can we discover a wormhole? But then going through the educational system and realizing that's solely based upon my diagnosis of having cerebral palsy, and having teachers talk about what Black kids could not do, what kids with disabilities could or could not do. If you from such and such, you can or cannot do this. That kind of dissuaded me. It didn't dissuade me. It kind of showed me that there was a difference. And so coming out of college and wanting to teach, and being told that I was too crippled to teach, or being told that I was too crippled to pursue my musical interests or things like that, and then running into toxic supervisors and toxic workplaces, which are now the buzzwords, but 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was just considered work. That really is what put me on the path to what I've been doing for the last 25 years. My disability is being devastatingly sexy and chocolate with cerebral palsy. So it affects me in my, I have cerebral palsy, and it affects me with my hands, so I don't have fine motor skills. So what I use is my feet. So when I cook, clean, change the baby's diapers, draw, make beats, computer program, has always been done with my feet. And it affects my life in a way because I have to constantly interact with people who are not expecting me, or who are not smart enough to just adapt to my human condition. In terms of, I use my feet. Some people use their hands, some people use their feet. And it has caused problems and points of contention. People don't speak to you like an adult. People are like, is he okay? Is he by himself? And I'm looking like, you could ask my brother. I can tell you, but if you want to be, like, you can go figure out what you want to figure out. But, you might want to ask me. So it affects me in a way that, it's made me much more resilient to the ways that humans are. It affects me in a way, physically. It makes things difficult because I'm older now. Cerebral palsy does have spasticity, things of that nature. But it empowers me because what is the goal of humanity? What is the fight for social justice? What is the fight for equality? What is the fight for environmental justice? Things like that. It empowers you in a way where you say, look, I'm in a situation where I constantly have to negotiate and see the better in people. Not that I have to like them, but I have to be able to, you become that kind of person where you are not dependent upon the myth of humanity. You deal with reality. And so it empowers me in a way that I'm exceedingly creative with trying to figure out some of the most basic things. Like, how do you cook pork chops if you can't use your hands? Like, I like my pork chops fried. So you have to figure out how to do that. When I had my first child, there were no classes on how do you change a baby's diaper with said disability. Figured that out. How do you raise daughters in a land where women are put in situations where they're either hypersexualized or dismissed, and instill within them the confidence that regardless of how they show up with their humanity, as long as they're decent, the struggles about how I work through them outside of being a black man, and then let me just reiterate it again. The major struggles have been dealing with racism, ableism, classism, sexism, and just people's unwillingness to see me as a full human and being a person with a disability, about how that plays out in relationships, in job seeking, educational attainment, business, relationships. It's been a struggle because humans have this uncanny ability, absolutely uncanny ability, to claim that we are the most intelligent species on the planet. But we use our intelligence to find the most destructive ways to undermine human characteristics. So the struggle has been, how do you maintain self-confidence? How do you maintain self-motivation? How do you just live in a world where your existence is, people look at you and like, if that was me, I don't know what I would do. I don't know. But it ain't you. And saying, I don't like you because you have a high melanin count. So I'm going to build an entire socioeconomic structure around that, and then force you into chattel slavery, and you'll be a descendant of stolen people. Or because you were born with with a neuromuscular disorder, we're going to instantly assume that you have no value in this society. But at the same time saying that you are superior and that you are better than me, but you literally are just demonstrating the opposite by not embracing the fullness of my humanity, but expecting that in return. So the struggles have been real. And I say it tongue-in-cheek, like, have a drink and smoke a blunt. But legitimately, self-medication for a lot of people is a way to cope with society's day-to-day pressures and expectations of, what they want you to be. And literally, you can't do that. I can't take off cerebral palsy and become a 6'2", 220-pound African-American male that's buff with tattoos. That's not going to happen. I will be 5'8", 140, 130 or whatever, and sexy as hell with glasses and spasticity. But that, and the people can't embrace my humanity, then those are people not worthy of my time. So that's kind of how I've gotten through it. And with my family's support, who I'm descended from. It's a legacy of my mama, legacy of my grandparents, legacy of my great-grandparents, all the way back. That I'm descended from people who have survived some of the most barbaric human treatment in the history of the world. And so I can't be mad that somebody don't like me because I twitch. The hell with you. I don't like you because your breath stink. And the tagline I tell my kids is, there's always a brighter side of midnight. There's always a brighter side. Even if it's dark, it's still a brighter side of midnight. And darkness is not necessarily bad if you know how to operate within it and look for the joy. My childhood was dope. My grandfather was the man. My great-grandfather was the man. My grandmother was amazing. My great-grandmother was amazing. And there was these are coming from people who lived in the antebellum South. These are people who lived through Jim Crow. These are people who literally can remember their great-grandmothers telling them about being sold on the auction block. So, but they never gave us the sense that we couldn't be who we wanted to be. Like that. So, there was no excuses about, Keith, you got cerebral palsy, so you can't. It was like, and so it was that. It was. I love music. We did talent shows. We did. I did art. I was into drawing. I was into painting. I was into sculpture. I was into dance. Was just into everything. And then when hip hop came along, I knew what I wanted to be. And it's funny because when I give speeches or I travel around the country, people go, "My kid can have a life?" Yes. Hell yes. Don't you want your kid to grow the hell up and get out of your house? Then don't you want that? Then yes. Life is to be lived, not to be caged up. My goal within the disability rights movement is to get people to get out of their, quote, silos, unquote. So it's not, oh, well, I have hidden disability, so I can't talk to you. Or I have mental health challenges, I can't talk to you. I'm spinal cord injured, so I'm not going to talk to you. I have Down syndrome. Like, damn it, man. We all trying to get to the same place. Whether I have autism, Down syndrome, whether I'm blind, whether I'm deaf, whether I have multiple chemical sensitivity, whether I have chronic fatigue, whether I have a chronic ailment, whether I have physical disability, mobility, whatever it is, that is a part of your human condition, that it really is about what can you leave in this world and what makes you happy. What can we do as a people to get the world to be in a better place? And hopefully, with and without disabilities, that, and if you don't have a disability, to presume that you're superior because somebody uses a wheelchair undercuts your statement of that you're intelligent. At the end of the day, we understand that we only have one planet. We only have one shot at this. The next breath ain't promised. So that's all I can say.